What is going on, YouTube people, today? Some updates from the PSA terms and conditions. A little late to this one. I know some people have talked about this already. But the old Tiffany cards and Auburn 35, pointing these two things out on the old Twitter machine. First one, and honestly the one that I'm more interested in talking about is the second one here. And that's the graders notes thing. But let's touch on the first one first. Tiffany Cards posted this, which then kind of opened this can of worms. Basically, they have updated their statement on what N7 evidence of cleaning means and added, additionally, when any foreign substance is applied to the surface of a card, such as cleaning spray or wax, would potentially qualify the card for N7. Now, the key distinction here is, can they actually detect this stuff still, or is this more of a CYA slash, hey, look, guys, we did something, that they can kind of point to? We don't know. I guess we'll find out if you start seeing a bunch of PSA submissions come back with N7s in them, or people complaining on social about N7s. But here's ultimately the thing. They have a lot of group submitters that offer prep services. I don't think the prep service is them just wiping down the card with a microfiber cloth. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. I don't know. But this just feels more like a, when you have the ADT sign in the front yard, but you don't actually have ADT or home security, whatever it is, you put the sign up in the front yard. So if someone walks past, they're like, oh, home security, not messing with that. So most people will just be like, I'll move on to the next one. Like I said, maybe they legitimately can start detecting this thing. I know it is something that they are working on. I just don't know that it's to the point yet that it's prime time. I could be completely wrong on that. But this feels like the security system sign in the front lawn without actually having the security system set up. Now, the bigger thing, because this is something I have been championing forever, and I'm afraid, and they could fix this, they could always change this, but I feel like they have screwed graders notes up before they even come to light. These are supposed to launch literally any day now, and this has to do with they are not making the graders notes public. Only the submitter can see them. And in fact, they have language in the terms and services that if you share those graders notes, you could potentially get in trouble with the old PSA. This is extremely disappointing on many levels. The point of graders notes is not only to let the submitter know what is wrong with a potential card on why it graded, basically why a card graded the way that it did, but it should also be there to let consumers know why a card graded the way that it did. So by keeping these private, it makes my mind go in a couple different directions because, as anyone that's watched the channel knows, I'm a big comic book guy. Graders notes have been public in some shape or form with CGC forever. This is just the way that it is. Now, in various different times, you may have had to have a CGC membership to get access to them. But regardless, if you had the capabilities, you could log in and see the graders notes if you wanted to, or have a friend log in if you didn't have a membership account with CGC. With PSA, that's not going to be the case. I believe this is only going to be on your actual submission page. So there won't link back to the cert number lookup, which is how it works with comic books. In my recent Heroes Con vlog, I put a screenshot up of the graders notes from the X-Men 1 that I bought. And that helped me, especially on the older stuff where you're not buying a 10. In this instance, I was looking at an extremely low grade X-Men 1, a 1.5. The graders notes on that are very important because I could go in, look those up before making that decision to purchase, to see exactly what is going on with that book that either I might not be aware of because it's slabbed, or just something that I might not catch because I'm not a comic book grader. So there is a lot of pros for the end consumer to have access to graders notes. And I think this is a massive swing and a miss by PSA. Sure, if you submitted the card and it comes back to grade you didn't want, you're going to know. I guess that's better than nothing. The fact that these aren't public, though, is a real letdown. Now, why, insert the Winhurst meme. Why would they do that? Why would they not make them public? I think there's a couple different reasons. I think that they could potentially not want the scrutiny of, the grader notes something specific. Someone cracks the card out on video or on YouTube or whatever, and they're like, I don't see where they put, blah, 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 bottom left corner. Here's the card. You just watched me crack it out of the slab. Do you see it? Because I don't see it. They probably don't want to deal with stuff like that. I think another key reason, and this goes back to the N7 evidence of cleaning, I don't think they want people that are potentially altering / cleaning cards being able to look up certain numbers of high value cards, look at the notes, and say, I think there's something on there that I can fix and crack it and do their doctoring on it and send it back into them, because I still think they have trouble detecting most of this stuff. And I think that is another big reason why they are keeping these hidden, because they don't want you walking the show floor and looking at an 86 Fleer Jordan, looking up why it got a PSA 7. Maybe it's really well centered. Everything looks pretty good on it. And someone looks it up and sees X, Y, or Z note on there. And if they're a card doctor, in the back of their mind, they're like, I bet you I could get that to bump to an 8 or maybe a 9. And you see this is very common in comic books. Now, in comic books, it's a different environment. This is 100% on the up and up. People will look at a book, they will look at the grader's notes, and then they will make an evaluation on if they think a clean in a press or a different clean or whatever could potentially bump that book up an additional grade. You see it happen quite frequently. So my suspicion is they don't want that public for that, and also the scrutiny of they mark something with a note and then everyone's looking at it and trying to find the thing on the card. Overall, very, very disappointing that notes are not going to be public. Now, like I said, maybe that changes. Ryan, Nat, if you're watching, please, please, please reconsider this. Or once it gets out of beta or something, I don't know, but these should be public. That's the whole point of them, is so that everyone can see it to make informed purchase decisions when transacting with one of these cards, and in addition, letting the buyer know why a card graded that it did. I mean, that is honestly, I should backtrack on that. That is honestly the most important part, is why the card, telling the submitter why the card graded it the way that it did. But if these are available, they should be made public, because it does help the transactional side of that as well. And maybe there's something I'm missing on this, who knows? But from a consumer side of things, I don't see the cons to graders notes being public. I just don't. I see cons for PSA. I don't see cons for the consumer. It's never been a problem in the comic book world with graders notes being public. I have never seen someone try to negotiate around the fact that the graders notes say X, Y, or Z. It still goes to the numbered grade on the slab itself. It's great that notes are coming out. This just feels like a very non-consumer friendly way to do them. And I truly hope one of the other grading companies looks at this and goes, hey, you know what? They're doing notes. We'll do notes too, but we'll do it the correct way. I still, to this day, cannot figure out for the life of me how CGC is not all over this. This is one of the bigger swings and misses from CGC. I don't even know since when. I don't know if since the label change, one of them, the grading scale change, whatever. They should have had graders notes out the door. You guys already have the system in place. You know how to do them. You know how to present them. And you know the confidence that it could bring having them. I have no idea how you let PSA beat you to market on Graders Notes, even if the Graders Notes aren't exactly what we want. Now, like I said, this is still better than nothing. Ultimately, the submitter submitting the card will know why it graded the way that it did if it does not get a 10. But these could have been very helpful for the transactional based nature of cards. And you've decided to hide that information from us, mostly probably to protect yourself, not the end consumer. We will see what happens once these formally get launched, once we get a little bit more details into things. I believe initially it's only going to be higher value tier services before these things kind of trickle down. But this is something they could easily change if they wanted to. You know, if at some point in time they wanted to make Graders Notes public, I'm sure on their back end they are set up to have these display on the cert page if they truly wanted to. Hopefully they're doing that, and hopefully they reverse course on this decision. It's great to see them doing it. It's a good first step, but I'm extremely disappointed in the fact that these are not going to be public. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. Why would they do it and not make them public? That is the thing that I am most curious about from you all. And do you believe that they can actually detect cleaning products now, or is this just the sign in the front yard? That's all I got. Catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.